Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, I have both an encounter with a ghostly, screaming venom woman, and an encounter with several alien beings in one account that this witness, experienced. Both accounts are truly interesting, folks. Let's get into the first one. 6 different strange entities encountered after UFO landing in Marillac, France. Let's get into this account now and hear the account that these two witnesses had. On a winter night in Marillac, France, 2 witnesses were stunned as a massive hemispherical craft descended into a nearby field. What followed was a chilling display of strange beings, some human-like, others utterly alien, that left behind not only terror, but also mysterious tracks in the snow. Let's hear this couple's story now. A man and a woman in a parked car on Cunaga Road in Marillac, France, noticed a white, metallic-looking hemispherical object about 50 feet wide in the snow-covered fields. Approximately 100 yards away, suddenly a dark opening appeared in the object, from which 6 beings of 3 different kinds emerged. First, 3 small humanoids about 4 feet tall appeared. They had large heads with prominent eyes, featuring noticeable whites, holes for noses, narrow mouths, bulging cheeks. Their arms were extended. They wore tight, metallic, one-piece suits. Each was carrying a dark box measuring 6 inches on its side with a round, luminous white screen on its upper surface. The humanoids strolled with stiff, small steps, fanning out as if searching for something. Gradually, they approached the road and came within 50 feet of the witnesses, who, I must lament, folks, must have been completely and utterly terrified at this point with what they just witnessed with this UFO landing, in this field in front of them, and them seeing these early alien things before them. So, yeah, probably completely terrified, folks. That's only the least of what I can say. Either way, let's continue with their story now. Behind the small beings, closer to the hemisphere, stood 2 human figures about 6.5 feet tall. They had light complexions and shoulder-length blonde hair, and they were also dressed in tight-fitting one-piece metallic suits. The third figure was a squat being with long dangling arms, apparently covered with dark fur, resembling a bear or a great ape. After about 10 minutes, when the small beings began to approach the car, the young woman became frightened, jumped out, slammed the door, and ran back to her own car, parked nearby. At this moment, the man noticed that all the figures stood still. The animal then re-entered the object, followed quickly by the 2 humans, and then the 3 humanoids, who ran back with such long, swift strides that they looked as if they were flying above the ground. The dark opening disappeared, and the UFO took on a brilliant metallic color before rising vertically for about 30 feet. It then shot off westward, becoming successively orange, bluish, and reddish before dwindling to a point. This all happened so quickly that the young woman only saw the object receding. The witness did not search for traces in the snow. Still later that morning, strange tracks were found in the snow by Miss Michael and her children in their garden in Murbridge, approximately 1.1 miles away, suggesting a connection to the earlier sighting. So, this is a very odd account, folks. The littler aliens sound like typical gray aliens, but we also have what looks like Pleiadians here with these 2 men, and also this great ape-like creature reminds me of a Bigfoot, because that's what it sounds like to me, folks. Now, the Pleiadians, they had blonde hair like they've been described before, folks, and the hairy creature, whatever it really was, folks, it could have been maybe, I guess, a pet, or maybe, for all I know, folks, since it entered the ship first, maybe it was the commander, or maybe something else entirely. Either way, certainly very fascinating. But let's move on to the next article. Evil phantom woman manifests and rages in Russian hostel. Let's hear this man's account of something he saw but could not explain, and probably changed his outlook on the world. While staying in Yekaterinburg hostel in the Urals, a man was jolted awake to find a strange white mass materializing from the wall and transforming into a ghostly woman. What followed was a chilling tug-of-war between reality and something otherworldly, ending with a violent sign that the presence was very real. The witness and his wife were staying at the Surzalisk Engineering Pedagogical Institute hostel near Yekaterinburg, Urals region, Russia, in October 1992. On the night of the encounter, he went to bed around 2 o'clock a.m. while his wife was already asleep. Suddenly, around 4 o'clock a.m., he woke up with a start, laying on his back with his eyes wide open. Strangely, he felt no fear or apprehension. The room was illuminated by streetlights right outside the window. So, Already it sounds strange, folks. Now, being jolted awake doesn't sound all that strange, but you have to understand here, folks. This man didn't hear anything else. He didn't hear any gunshots or maybe cars backfiring. He just jolted awake like it was just like, I guess someone gave him a shove in bed. From it sounds like, folks, it's just like he just woke up out of the blue for no reason. But then again, something was about to happen. So maybe on some level, this guy could feel that something was going to happen. So let's read further. Out of nowhere, he heard a noise from above his head. Turning, he saw a flying white mass that seemed to have emerged directly from the wall. The strange mass stopped abruptly, hovering right in front of his face, and transformed into a three-dimensional image of a woman, approximately 20 to 25 years old. However, she was only visible down to her waist, with the lower part of her body appearing blurry. This strange figure hung in the air vertically above the witness, about a half-meter from his face. The figure was white, and he could see through it clearly. It seemed dressed in a kind of nightgown with long sleeves and gazed at him with cold black eyes, which contrasted sharply with the rest of the body and gave off a sense of evil intentions. Before he could react, a white hand quickly grabbed his right wrist and began to pull him slowly. He felt an intense pressure from the grasp. Strangely, at that moment, he still felt no fear, but he realized that something was very wrong. He attempted to pull his hand away, but was unsuccessful. With incredible strength, the figure pulled the witness's arm, which seemed to pass right through the bed's grid. Unable to control himself any longer, the witness emitted a shrill scream. At that instant, the figure changed her shape and hair to resemble his sleeping wife. Taken aback, the witness thought, "No, it's not my wife. Where is my wife?" In a panic, he grabbed his wife's hand and cried out. Remarkably, the stranger then loosened her grip and suddenly disappeared. His wife awakened and asked why he was screaming. He could only tell her that something strange had occurred, and she advised him to try to get some sleep. After walking around the room, he lay down again. However, as he attempted to cover himself with the quilt, it felt as though it was resisting him with incredible force, even dragging him. His wife remained asleep, so he got up to smoke. When he returned and lay down again, the quilt no longer resisted, but the feeling of anxiety lingered. To alleviate his fear, the witness then cursed out loud at the strange visitor. The reaction was instantaneous. A decisive blow struck the nearby table as if delivered by a hefty board. He again roused his wife, who had not seen the strange female visitor and had slept through most of the unusual events. Well, we'll talk about that in a moment, folks. The source of this information comes from Russia, I guess. Either way, very strange, folks. We have to ask, why didn't the wife wake up as soon as basically this large heavy blow was heard? I mean, certainly you would think the wife would have jolted awake, what like that, but no, she basically slept through it. This is strange, folks. We've heard about this happening before with UFO encounters where the spouse of the witness can't be roused at all. But this case, she did wake up, but even then it was because the husband had to basically shake his wife awake. She basically slept through that large board-like sound, basically hitting the table nearby, and she did not wake up at all until her husband screamed, as he was basically dealing with this presence in the room. And the fact that it literally basically reacted when he cursed at it shows that this entity was intelligent, at least as smart as a human, folks, and not an animal, because it literally reacted as any intelligent person would by, basically just making a very loud racket, I guess. I mean, clearly this entity wanted this man's attention, even shape-shifting into his wife. So, was it an alien or actually some sort of specter? It could have been a demon, and it was basically after this man's soul, perhaps. Maybe that's why it was tugging him, trying to drag him off to, somewhere else. It could be if he went with her, folks. His soul would have left his body, and he could have, just died for all we know, folks. Or maybe this man would have been abducted. We just don't know. It has elements of stories we've heard about before, folks, with both, demonic or ghostly lore, but also with ufological stories as well. So whatever it was certainly very bizarre. Anyway, folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe to my YouTube channel. hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure that the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications. And please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.